Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I am good. You guys brought the pups in. I should have I should have brought my sister's dog in here to hold you. I don't think you'd be as well behaved though.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how long this lasts. We're
Well, they're
hoping for
very
a little
cute, so they
while.
might fall asleep. Well, thanks for meeting today. Welcome to the Wag Pod. Today we have with us Anna Coleman and Maria Wooldridge from Blue Ridge Bernedoodles. Now that was a lot of words right there, but I nailed it. I feel good about that. And you know what's good about Zoom podcast too is I'm wearing gym shorts right now. No one would have any idea, but I just confessed it. So, yeah. All right. Well, let's jump into it. Who are those guys you have with you or gals that you're holding right there?
I have marshmallow,
That's awesome.
and this is socks.
So cute.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, you guys, I know we went over some stuff in our original call, but I'm probably going to just ask the same questions as I do. So, just want to jump into kind of your journey into starting breeding these Bernedoodles and what makes you so passionate about it.
Sure. So we have a Bernese Mountain Dog named Stella. She's about 8 years old now, and when we got her at the time, we didn't anticipate starting Blue Ridge Bernedoodles, but we
Yeah.
fell in love with her. We fell in love with the process of just a Bernese Mountain Dog.
Right.
And then, well, when we brought her into our home, we were also expanding our own family at the time.
Right.
And we had two sons that were diagnosed with some immunodeficiency disorder
Sure.
and an older son that had autism. And we
Hmm.
just saw the joy that Stella brought
Yep.
and the happiness that she brought and the calmness that she
That's
brought into our
amazing.
life. And then I grew up in a family that bred Great Danes.
Yeah.
So I started researching and really seeing how powerful bringing a dog into our family with special needs.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to kind of think through how could we make that happen for other families in a way
Right.
that would allow more options for hypoallergenic and allergies,
Right.
calmness, a temperament, maybe thinking through how to get them ready to go home, and just
Sure.
being able to have that option for other families to experience what we experienced with Stella.
Right. Right. That's amazing. And so you said your family bred Great Danes before this?
Yes, yes. So I
Wow.
kind of knew a little bit about, obviously breeding with my aunt and uncle, and we would go
Yeah.
over there and play with the
Sure.
puppies all the
Great
time.
Danes are the best. They're so awesome.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So always grew up around dogs, had a love for dogs. And then
Mhm.
when we brought them home and just seeing how much love they give
Yeah.
to our own family, we really wanted to serve other families in that way as well.
That's amazing. So what kind of like temperament or characteristics led to you choosing a Bernedoodle to bring that kind of dog into your family, or did it just work out where you got the dog and then you're just like, wow, this is a great match?
So we had Stella's a Bernese Mountain Dog,
Yeah.
and she has the best temperament.
Right.
Bernese Mountain Dogs are known for being calm.
Right.
The one thing that I didn't like was the shedding
Right.
aspect. They shed all the time, and we live
Yeah.
in South Carolina, so it's the heat.
Yep.
And then, at the time, we researched Bernedoodles, and they became really popular.
Sure.
And they have that calmness of a Bernese Mountain Dog, but
Right.
the brain of a poodle, and you put them
That
together, and it's like the
it
perfect
doesn't
mix.
yeah, that's nice.
Yes.
That is so nice.
Yeah.
It's a science experiment gone right is what it sounds like.
Yes. Well, and as a science teacher, that
Yeah.
is what I like
That's
to do.
right. That's right. You guys are teachers. What grade? Yeah, I remember Rita's kindergarten. Is that right?
Yes, yes,
That's good
yes.
memory. Look at that. That's
There
pretty good.
you go.
And then you're what grade are you
I
teaching?
taught sixth grade science for many, many
Oh
years.
yeah. No, my mom does the same exact thing. So
Yep.
that's yeah. Huh. That's funny. So anyway, so how did Maria end up joining and start working with you? Where did that kind of come in?
So Maria was actually my son's kindergarten teacher.
Ah,
And she was great with him, and he loved her, and he
yeah,
thrived in her classroom. And then she
yeah,
knew that we were doing this, and we kind of, I don't know, bounced ideas off of each other and said, "Do you want to be a part of this?" Because
right,
once we didn't want to get burned out
sure,
and we'll talk about that, but when we raise a litter, we're all hands on deck, and
sure,
we do a lot with the litter. And so we wanted to make sure we were protecting our own family and our own family's
right,
time,
right,
and then we were giving the proper attention to the puppies. So what better person to ask than a kindergarten teacher to
That's
help?
right. Very patient, right?
Yes, very patient, and
Yeah.
a great teacher of beginning life
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah.
So,
Of course. Well,
she's
I was looking at your website too. I love the breakdown because you'll have like, is it like prenatal, and then you have preschool and then kindergarten. So I think that's just a new like fun way to look at it that I haven't, like, usually when you're talking about breeding, like you see the pictures and like, find a little bit of information, but you kind of want to break down that process and how you guys came up with that, because it is I'm a fan. I'm a fan of that. That's very cool. Organized.
Yeah, no, well, when you start raising puppies, they go through developmental stages just like children.
Yeah,
And although we studied how to be teachers, we kind of carried that over into dogs,
of course.
right? And so a well-trained dog is a well-loved dog.
Hmm.
And so we looked at early neurological stimulation, which starts at day 3. It's a pivotal point and development for the
Yeah,
puppies. So we
yeah.
start from day 3 to day 16. That's prenatal, or that's for
Right, right.
the earlier stages. And then we also do early scent integration. So it gets their brain working. It gets them stimulated. It gets them working. It gets them desensitized.
Right. And so
So
you said, so that's what, ENS and ESI, is that
yes,
right?
yeah.
So what does that look like, or how do you kind of implement those?
So the scent integration, every single day, we hold a scent right below their nose because their eyes and ears are still closed.
Right,
So
right. That's right. I totally forgot about that. They're just hanging
yes,
out, just chilling.
yep. So we'll hold like some kind of a spice, or we do apple,
Yeah,
and we'll hold it right underneath their nose,
yeah,
and we'll let them sniff it, and we
yeah.
can tell whether or not they're interested in it or not
Right,
interested in it, or just
right.
kind of neutral about it.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
do that. And then with
No,
the
no wasabi though, right?
No, 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 no.
That's for kindergarten at least,
Yes,
right?
yes,
No.
yes.
right.
So you kind of you mark which ones they enjoy the most or seem to be interested in it, and then what do you do with that information?
Usually we can just look back at it later and go, oh, okay, they kind of prefer like sweeter things, or oh, they're into the savory things, or
Right.
they prefer, the pine chips from outside or the
Yeah,
rabbit
yeah.
food. It's just interesting data to have on them.
Oh, 100%. I think my our Springer Spaniel Cedric, who's one, would pass every single one. He likes everything. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad or smells bad. He's going to be checking it out. So
Yes.
that's awesome. So
Sure.
that was the one where they're smelling, right?
Yeah.
Early. And then what is the other one?
The other one, we are holding them in an upright position. We're holding them so their feet are up in the air on their backs. We're
Cool.
holding them with their heads down.
Yeah.
We mess with their toes. We put a
Mhm.
little. We play with their toenails.
Yeah, yeah.
We also will we'll let them feel like an ice pack.
Right.
And it's not for very long. It's just
Sure.
a couple of seconds.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's just to help them to be more familiar with being handled.
Right. Because when they get into a new family, especially like younger kids or maybe people who might need, a little bit of extra comfort or patience around, like that, yeah, that makes sense. That's why, like, I've noticed, because like some dogs can be really protective of their food, right? Like you feed them and you pet them, but that's why like little stuff like that and thinking it through makes such a difference. I feel
really
like in the long term of everything. Plus, you play with your dog's paws, right? Like that's cute. That's
Yes.
awesome. So, what is the next stage after that?
After that, there are handling exercises that increase in intensity, and we also expose them to different noises.
Okay.
Because by the time they get to day 16, their ears and their eyes are open.
Yeah.
So we will put different objects into the pen each day. So like there's a blanket, we do a bucket, a step stool, a box, those kinds of things. And we make sure that they're not stressed out by it. Usually
Right.
I'll put it in when mom is still in the pen.
Right.
And they can go over and they kind of explore it. We also play different kinds of music. We do thunderstorm noises, firework noises,
Yep. Wow.
all different
You guys
genres.
put a lot of thought into this.
We do. We do.
I mean, I knew that, but still, like actually hearing about it is very, very cool.
Yeah.
You're saving the parents from having to buy those thunder jackets later on.
Yes,
You're actually
right.
saving them money.
Yes.
They should be saying thank you, right?
Yes. Yeah. Now we do tell our families though when they go home, it doesn't stop with us, right? When they go home, they need to continue. If a dog sits in a crate 8 hours a day, all of the stuff the skills that they've learned,
It'll be gone.
it'll be gone.
That kind of reminds me of homework, right? I think
Yes,
in schools, right? If you just go to class, but you don't go home and do your work, no. I mean, I'm not a fan of homework, but
right,
I do see the
right,
crossover there. That's nice.
absolutely, yeah.
So do you want to talk a little bit about? I guess first, how long have y'all been doing this as well?
2019, I
Okay,
believe. 2018,
2019.
2019. Yeah.
And once I know you mentioned earlier, but y'all are in South Carolina in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
We're near
Okay.
Greenville, South Carolina. So,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've heard it. Well, I guess I know Greenville, North Carolina, but I've heard of Greenville, South
yes.
Carolina. That's close enough to me where it's like I should know. I've heard of it.
Yes.
And so are most of y'all's, I guess, customers, clients, are they usually in South Carolina as well, or are they all over?
All over.
Yeah. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I mean, we've had people from Texas, Michigan, New York,
Yeah.
Connecticut, California, Washington.
And are they
All
driving? Are they driving up or down?
all different ways.
Yeah.
What's really neat now is the airline
Train, bus,
industry.
car.
Yes, seriously. Yeah, they allow the puppy to fly on a flight with you. You just
That's
have to have their
awesome.
documentation, and then
Yeah.
you have like a little carry-on that fits underneath the seat.
Yeah.
So once families realize that, they usually fly to us, and we'll meet them at the airport, or they'll
Yeah.
Uber something to our house.
That's amazing. Well, the amount of training they're going through, I feel like they're more ready to take a flight than a lot of humans.
Yeah.
They're probably like,
right.
another day.
Yes.
That's
For
awesome.
sure.
That is awesome. So how many litters do y'all go through a year? Well, actually, let me backtrack. I was reading online. Does it matter male or female which is the poodle and which is the what is it? What was that one again?
Bernese Mountain Dog.
Bernese Mountain Dog. It doesn't matter either way.
I mean, we do by temperament, and we generally use a Bernese Mountain Dog mom and a poodle male.
Because they're very chill. They're super cool vibes, right?
Some people do it the other way. That's just the way that we choose to do it.
Right.
Sometimes we do a Bernedoodle to a Bernedoodle, and that's a F2, so you can get a little bit of a straighter coat.
We're talking Mendel right now, right? Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
That's a little hybrid crossover, some plants that we're talking about. Cool.
I'm telling you, the science teacher and the kindergarten teacher.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. This is a great combo. This is a dynamic duo. This is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's just depending on what people want, the different colors and the coats. We breed for temperament. So even our own dogs they're our family dogs, and yeah.
So you do the female, and then is that always, or do you do also Bernedoodle and Bernedoodle, or is that just other places that do that?
We do that too. We do Bernedoodle, or we'll do Bernedoodle Poodle, and that's a little bit more hypoallergenic. That's a F1B.
Gotcha.
Or we'll do Bernese to Poodle.
And so is this like at y'all's house, or do you have a location that this happens at, or?
It's our homes. Nice. So we take turns, but the purpose of having puppies and doing the curriculum is having it in a home.
Right.
It's our living room, or it's in a common area. I have a finished basement that opens right out to our backyard.
That's awesome.
So it's with our kids, our families are a part of this process. I think it's been good for them to learn responsibility and take care of it.
Definitely.
So no, we don't have like a kennel. It's literally our home.
Right. That's nice. I mean, it's better that way, right? I mean, you guys take the whole working from home to another level, right? It's not just remote on your computer anymore.
That's right. Yes.
I like that. That is awesome. So I guess jumping into that a little bit, how is it kind of having your own families while doing this at the same time? Is it something you're able to kind of compartmentalize, or did this kind of come together and you guys are all kind of the whole family's helping out? How does that really look for you guys?
I mean, I think it's the whole family that helps out. We used to keep a deposit list way up ahead of time. And I think for us, we've learned to hold off on a deposit list. So that way, we know that we're in a state of not being burnt out, if that makes sense. And then we know that our female dogs are okay because they're our pets. So if they're tired or worn out and it's not a good time, So our model over the years has changed to adapt to kind of our family's needs and our dog's needs as well.
What is the model? I guess like what iterations, what has kind of changed over the years for y'all to
so we would
more
keep
adaptable?
Like we would keep a deposit list and feel pressure to like have to breed.
Oh, right. I see what you mean. Like you'd have people being like, okay, I want this dog, this dog, this dog. Okay.
Yes. And so what we've kind of changed over time is when we feel like we're in a place where we can breed, which usually is 2 litters a year, sometimes 3. Then once the mom is pregnant, then we'll kind of do an announcement and then start taking deposits at that point.
That's good. That's smart. I mean, it's one of those learning processes, finding like what works better for you guys. But it sounds like, because you guys had mentioned burnout for y'all as well, right? How has that kind of impacted y'all's business?
I mean, there's been times where we've had to sit out of a litter because we're tired, or you know, one of us has had a baby, or you know,
you have your own litter going on right now, right?
Exactly. Or this year, I've sat out on litters because two of my sons have had medical issues. So, I mean, I think we want to stick to quality breeding, and sometimes quality breeding means sitting out, and staying true to your curriculum and kind of your core values versus just popping dogs out.
And I think having the foresight to be able to see that, right? Like, hey, like maybe I'm not right in the headspace right now where I can do this, or I don't, you know, things are going on. And then having a partnership really helps out with that as well, right? Because, I mean, you know, y'all are working as well, or I'm not sure what job situation is now, but this is also, it's more to me, it seems from talking to y'all, just it brings you a lot of joy. Matching these dogs with families and especially families that would be able to really benefit from a well-tempered dog. So it seems like I mean, it's way more than a hobby, right? It's an entire business, it's everything. It takes up a lot of y'all's time, but it brings you joy. And so I think it's I guess important to realize, like, when you're doing things, at least for me, when I'm doing things that I really enjoy and I'm getting a little tired of it, it's good to take a step back. Like, I think that's a good lesson to take. You're gonna run out of things you like to do, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. And it makes your work different, right? When you love it and you enjoy it. And I feel like that's what makes our puppies special, is that we spend the time, you know, and put a lot of effort into each one of our litters that we do.
Definitely. Yeah. That's amazing. So kind of diving back into, I guess, this year, what have you already had your first litter this year and you're going into your second? Or I know there's heat cycles, right? I heard that. I did one. I did a podcast with a breeder. It was awesome. She bred American Bullies. And so I learned whelping was a term as well. So I'm learning more and more every time. So what does this year kind of look like for y'all?
So we just finished up, we're finishing up this litter and sending them home. And I think we're going to take the summer off to be able to enjoy our families and go on vacation. And then we'll probably do a litter either in the fall or right around Christmas time.
Right.
So, yes.
That'll be nice. You guys deserve some vacations, right? Especially teachers.
Maria's building a house. So
y'all are building a house too?
She's ready for a little bit of a break and move into her own home too.
I can absolutely see that. Yes. So what are kind of the specifics? Like if someone wanted to start breeding, or what would they need to do to kind of get into that? Is that something, how much your time does it take? And I guess specific to Bernedoodles, can you provide, I guess, a little bit more information about the specifics of the breed? Like, how old does male have to be? How old is the female? Just, you know, so I can nerd out a little bit and learn a little bit more about it.
Sure. So you need to go through at least, you know, the proper health testing, get OFA health testing, because you want to have a healthy dog, not just a well-tempered dog, but a healthy dog.
Right.
So you don't really go through that testing until they're around a year old. Do OFA hips and eyes and heart. And
what is OFA?
So it's an organization of vets that basically determine the health of your dog. Does that make sense?
So they're big dogs. What they say matters, right? Okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And so if you have a failing score or not a good, you're not going to breed that dog.
Right.
And
right.
so
It's like
health
the PTA. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So health testing, number one. And then for us, we usually don't breed until they're 2.
Right.
So, we just work on even the mom getting acclimated to the home and good training and then start. But the biggest thing is health testing and getting all of that screening done, making sure mom is and dad, they're a good pair, a good temperament.
Sure.
But we really don't breed until they're 2.
Is there a cutoff time or can you just go forever?
No.
That'd be awesome. Hey, nothing wrong with that.
We usually only do 3 or 4 at the most.
Yeah.
So sometimes also what we'll do is we'll have like a guardian home where we still are raising the puppies. Just we know the curriculum, but like we will allow them to have one of our dogs that have been health tested, and that dog is a family pet. It's in the home. It's being loved by a family, but then we'll have the dog to breed the dog.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So switching gears a little bit, I know I had mentioned this on our pre-call, but hopefully down the line, our philanthropic fund Wagworks Cares will be kind of partnering with Pawtism, where it's a philanthropy where the founder had a son. Or has a son with autism, and then saw kind of that process. And it sounds similar to kind of your experience. And it sounds to me like you really put thought and research into your process. So not necessarily are these dogs becoming therapy dogs, but they're therapeutic in a sense, or they can pretty easily make that conversion. So do you maybe want to talk? I mean, if somebody's comfortable with, talk about the importance of having dogs with maybe kids with special needs, or what that kind of journey looks like for y'all.
Yeah. So my son was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2.5. And that's when we had Stella at the time. And at the time we had, ABA therapists in and out of the house, and he was doing ABA therapy. And it was just like a constant comfort. I mean, she would follow him around, and when he needed a break, she was there. If he needed to hug something, she was there.
Right.
He even gets plasma infusions, and she still sits right at his feet from the medical side of things.
That's amazing.
So even though she, quote unquote, was not a certified,
she just did it already.
And they're very perceptive. I think sometimes dogs are very in tune to what kids are feeling and can read the room sometimes better than adults can.
Yeah.
So for us, it was just a game changer having her. Because we got her before he was actually diagnosed.
Right.
And, I mean, we've had our dogs go on to be certified therapy dogs.
Oh, really?
Just because they have that great foundation. And then we can kind of tell their personalities of who would be a good therapy dog, who is human focused, who's food motivated. We can kind of tell things. So if we have a family that is like, hey, I need an actual certified therapy dog, we lay that groundwork.
Right.
And then they can take it to an organization to get further training.
Okay. So what does that groundwork look like if you know that the family is going to be wanting therapy dog?
Same with the curriculum. Doing all the same
it's
things.
Already there.
But you can kind of look at a dog's personality by the time they're 6 or 7 weeks and say, hey, they're going to make it. Like they're going to be a great therapy dog and go on because they're human focused. Or you walk into a room and they'll track. Like they're human track. And they have a calm demeanor. So I don't know. I would say we probably had 5 go on to be actual therapy dogs, like certified.
That's so cool. And there's lots of different like groups around that are able to train for therapy dogs. Do you see yourself kind of I guess with these people, because they're from everywhere, different locations, do you recommend certain places for them to go, or do they just kind of know ahead of time?
They kind of know ahead of time, and we'll tell them to look with specific things to look for in their state. Or canine training, or it also depends on if you need an actual certified therapy dog or an emotional support dog. Those two things are different. But usually by the time they come to us, they've done their research and they know where they're going next.
And they already have it kind of figured out. Yeah, that's very cool. So going back, I guess, to 2019, how did y'all, when you first decided to start doing this, how long was it before you were able to have your first litter? Was there a lot of research that kind of needed to go in beforehand? Because maybe not, but like with ENS, you're probably not starting immediately with that unless you are and you knew about that. But right, I mean, so what did that kind of look like?
I'm the research nerd, and she's like, "This is how it's gonna work," type thing.
You keep it realistic. Okay.
We actually did research it up ahead of time. Like, I mean, we ended up breeding Stella, got her health tested and everything like that. It took 2 years, and then we did end up researching that. I think as we knew about ENS and we knew about ESI, and but the curriculum piece we added on later. We kept adding on, and we kept, I think, developing the longer we went. Or, oh, let's try this, or how about we try ambulance sounds this time, So I mean, that has kind of organically developed over the time, and gotten better, I think, as we've gone on. But we knew we wanted to do something different,
right?
Our backgrounds, and if we were going to do it, we wanted to do it right. If that makes sense. So
yeah, it does sound like y'all are using your backgrounds to apply it to something that you both love. I mean, I can't necessarily say I'm doing this. I majored in at Chapel. I majored in political science and minored in biology and chemistry. So I'm not really doing any of that right now. But I did realize I like talking to people, so that's a lot of fun. That is awesome. Cool. So I guess I know Maria is building her house this year, right? That's exciting. Yes. What's kind of on the horizon for y'all? Do you ever consider bringing in one more person or expanding a little bit? Or are you guys kind of content with where you're at and what you're doing and the quality? It sounds like you're very content with quality of dogs. Absolutely. So,
I mean, I think for right now we're content. I think, our thing is we don't ever want to turn into like a puppy kennel to where we get so big and we lose what we're doing.
Sure.
I think sometimes you can kind of lose focus on why you do what you do. So definitely. I think for now we're content. We want to make sure that we stay true to the curriculum and what we do.
And I feel that focus a lot. You guys definitely kind of portray that through the screen, right? It's there's no doubt that you guys are doing what you love just because you love it, kind of deal. So that's nice. So how do y'all end up kind of doing, I guess, was it a lot of social media that gets the word out, right? Because in 2019, I guess Instagram existed back then, I think, to an extent, right? Facebook, that kind of stuff. How did people know? How did y'all start getting the word out about that?
Instagram, Facebook, and then I built our website. So our website.
Oh, you built it yourself? That's super cool. Yeah.
And then a lot of times we're word of mouth. I mean, we don't spend a lot on advertisement. We're not a big, like a big kennel. We really don't spend a lot on advertisement. So we kind of rely on word of mouth.
I think word of mouth is probably the most important thing in the industry. I don't know, like whether it's like with what I'm doing, like house sitting or like walking dogs, like it's all about you met a person, you did a nice job, and you pass it on. So that is, I mean, it seems like that it works very well, honestly. But you just got to get your first couple kind of in and everything like that.
Yeah.
Do y'all have, I guess sometimes people like, an argument that would come up, people might be like, hey, like, maybe you should rescue a dog that's, in a pound versus going to a breeder, which I think both sides are. I mean, our dogs are Springer Spaniels, and I think what would you kind of say to, I don't know, people who are making that argument?
I mean, I think every life stage is different, right? And everybody has different needs,
right?
And so if you need a very specific dog for a very specific reason that you know has a certain kind of training or in an environment, then you might need to go with a breeder.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
If you're in a place where you have maybe a little bit more extra time, to give an older dog, or that didn't have that training, or you didn't have kids, or it's just everybody's life stage is different. I
agree.
And there are people that have more flexibility maybe to go to and rescue a dog, and that's needed too. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer.
No, definitely not. I think that's the nice thing that I've kind of gotten about the dog community in general is that it's really just about finding people who want pets and make them happy, whatever that looks like in like whatever stage of life. Like I'd love to have, I consider Cedric to be my son, but like I'm in Raleigh half the time and you know, he's in Winston with my family. Uh,
Sure.
but it's, I don't know. I'm not at a place in my life I realize where I could get a dog and I think they're just so meaningful to me. That it's just something that brings me a lot of happiness. And it definitely seems to bring y'all a lot of happiness as well.
Yep. For sure.
All right. Wait, it said, oh yeah, I don't have the Zoom Pro, so we have 10 minutes left. This is nice. This is good where I can kind of have an idea of what's going on. This is nice. So I guess Maria, would you want to talk? I heard a little bit about Anna's journey and her interest in taking care of pups and her story. So besides, you know, also being the kindergarten teacher of her kid, what kind of made you a little bit more interested in this pursuit?
Well, I always had dogs growing up, and ours were always rescues.
Yeah.
I've never had a dog that was bred for a specific purpose.
Yeah.
And so when Anna came and was like, "Hey, what'd you think about doing this?" I was like, "I don't know. I don't know enough about it."
So wait, you just like saw her and you're like, she's a good kindergarten teacher. Maybe she'll do this with me. Okay.
Absolutely.
Right?
I figured if she could handle my son, she'd be perfect with helping us raise puppies.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
Yes. So we had started our family and we were interested in having dogs. And so I was like, let's go, let's do this. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. And it's been a fun journey.
Yeah. It sounds like it. Time flies when you're having fun. Been
That's
5
right.
years. Man. Yeah, that's a good, yeah. It sounds like what you guys do is just really incredible and brings people a lot of joy. Do you have any certain, like, I guess, is it hard to let them go sometimes? Is that, like, when someone comes and picks them up and you're like, oh, marshmallow, or like, you know.
It's always bittersweet. I think it's worse for my kids because they are always there helping take care of the puppies and they have their favorites and they get attached to those.
Yep.
And so I think the first litter that we ever did, my daughter just bawled her eyeballs out when her favorite went home.
Yeah.
But it was a good life lesson.
Yeah.
And we talked about how we get to love on these pups for 8 weeks and then we pass them on so that their new families can love on them.
Right.
And we can still get pup dates on social media and we can still see them. But now this new family gets to love on them. And that's why we do what we do. And it's just been a really good experience for my kids to learn that it's okay to get attached and it's okay to pass that love on.
Right.
So it's always bittersweet. It's
Definitely.
Excited for the new family, but then sad for us because we're losing a little bit of our heart.
That's a good way to do a life lesson with a puppy. I wish my dad would do stuff like that too. And I'm getting like, hey, Richmond, watch your budget. Here, come pet this puppy. That would have worked a little bit better for me, I feel like. But he doesn't do that. So, you know, that's fine. Do you guys keep up with a lot of your pup parents? I mean, how many do you think by now? You see, you've been doing it for 6 litters, about 2 a year. How big are the litter sizes typically?
Oh man, anywhere from we've had one that only had 1 puppy, and then this last litter we had 12.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just
did that one puppy turn into just like a superstar, like
one
kind of deal?
Puppy is still in South Carolina, and we still see updates. And he's in a family of 3 boys.
Oh man,
yeah,
he's the chosen one. I love that.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So because I was reading on your website, there's a couple different weight categories that litters could be in. Do you ever have, because there are 3 different ones, correct?
Yep.
Do you want to talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, so we have minis, which are usually 30 to 40. And then we have mediums, which are usually 40 to 60, and then standard, which are 60 plus.
Right.
So,
do you ever have a mix of the weights in each litter, or
like right now, we call this is like a mini medium litter where we're, you know, they could be anywhere from like 40 to 50.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this one is more mini medium, and I mean, like with anything in life, right? Like you can gauge so much based on the parents, but sometimes there could be an outlier that we just can't anticipate.
Right, that you can't. Mendel. That's what it all goes back to. What is it, the Punnett square? Is that what it's called?
I think so, yes.
Look at that. That's pretty good. All right, there's the bio. That's
That's
coming.
right. That's right.
And then you mentioned there's a couple different color combinations. Do you want to kind of explain what that is? And like, I just find it fascinating how you can't like, sure, you can make those predictions. Like, I bet you half of them are going to weigh this much or be that, but it can be all over the place,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So what are those color different patterns or schemes?
This is a traditional tricolor, and this is
Mhm.
where it looks like the most like a Bernese Mountain Dog.
Yeah.
Where you have the rust-colored eyebrows and on a little bit of rust on the paws,
Yeah.
rust on the cheeks, and then white. So this is tricolor, and she actually has what's called a straight coat,
Yeah.
or like a flat coat.
Gotcha.
So even though she's part poodle, it's going to be a little bit straighter than a poodle.
Gotcha.
More like a Bernese Mountain Dog, which some people like that, but it's
Right.
not as much shedding as a Bernese Mountain Dog.
Right. Right. That is nice.
Marshmallow is like a red, or we call sable. And so he is a little bit fluffier. So he kind of has more of a wavy coat.
Yeah.
And then we don't have one with us right here, but then we have a bicolor, which is either black or white or black or tan. So
you guys have so many different color combinations. This is awesome.
That's what makes it fun.
We're doing some like jewelry. My sister and one of my family friends make jewelry, so we're doing that right now with a shop in Raleigh. Don't worry, this connects. It'll circle back. But they were like talking about all these color combinations, and I was like, you know what? Y'all take care of that. I have no idea what I would be looking for or anything. That's amazing. So I guess we've got a couple minutes left. Do you guys want to talk about maybe your favorite experience or lessons that you've learned during this 6 years for you? I know that's a large question. We can keep some Jeopardy music.
I have to think.
Do some computer in the background. One of those.
We had one lady that came in, I think it was last year, and she was a retired nurse. And she wanted to give back. So she specifically wanted a dog that she could, in retirement, meanwhile, like she's retiring, be a certified therapy dog to go back to the hospital and to go back.
So awesome.
So that when anytime you have a story like that, your dog is going to a good person who's using their time to serve others.
Right.
So anytime we have that kind of story, or a child with special needs, that's always what tugs on my heart.
Right.
Just because of my own personal experience.
Sure.
That, we know that they're going to a good home and they'll serve a purpose.
Right.
We really want to raise dogs that serve a purpose.
Do you think that's important? Like one of the most important things for people when getting a dog is knowing that it has a purpose? Or do you think the dog is aware constantly of like what its purpose is? Or is that something that changes from time to time, right?
I mean, I think it depends on, once they get home, the dog is home, right? And the family dynamics.
Right. I guess the family is ultimately their purpose.
Yes.
Finding all the treats. That could be a good purpose too.
I would say a well-loved dog is also a well-trained dog, right? Because if you love your dog, you're going to spend time with your dog. Right. And you're going to train your dog and give your dog the time and energy that it needs.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. All right, Maria, you're up. You got it. You have enough time to think. I guess just what makes you happy about what you do in general. What every day, what are you kind of looking forward to when you get to see the dogs, and like what gives you that spark?
I love interacting with the dogs. I love seeing all their different little personalities. I think the thing that I love the most though is seeing my kids interact with them and being able to teach them how to train a dog, how to interact with a dog. Yeah. Because I don't want my kids to be the ones that run up to somebody else's dog in public and like pull its ears or pull its tail. Yeah. They're helping me know how to interact with the dogs. They're holding them. They are helping train the dogs so that if someone does come up and pull their tail in public, it's not a big deal, right? Yeah, yeah. I think really for me, it's just that my kids get to be a part of this too. That's amazing. They get to help.
Man, this makes me want to have some kids and some dogs, but I'm only 23, so I'm going to put that on hold for a little bit. I got to find Mrs. Griner too. So.
There you go. Might be wise.
That's right. Well, just want to say how much I appreciate y'all's time and coming on, and thank you. I learned something new today, and that's fantastic. And it's really, really awesome to always be able to do that. Wish you guys the best of luck with all your family and all the litters coming up. And who knows? Maybe I'm in South Carolina. I'll come see the puppies at some point.
Yeah, we'd love that.
Come on.
Awesome. Well, thank you all again. Have a great
you.
weekend.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.